What's up, students? It's your boy PhillyGT, back at it again in class. In today's lesson, I'm going to go over with y'all why you want to shake up your grain jars, when to do it, and some tips on how to do it. So let's take a look at these broke boy jars here from the last video. They're about 30% fully colonized at the moment, looking real good to get shaken up. It's probably the ideal time you want to shake up your jars. After we shaken them up, probably don't have to worry about doing that again until they're ready to spawn. These are about 8 days after inoculation using liquid culture. If you're using spore syringes, it'll probably take you a little bit longer to reach this point. Typically with spore syringes, you can expect to reach this in about 14 to 20 days. It really depends on your genetics. And colonization temperatures, you really want to keep them between 70 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And Celsius, that's 21 to 28 degrees Celsius. Anything below that, you're going to see slower colonization times. Anything above that, and you're prone to getting contamination. Now, speaking of contamination, one of my jars here actually got contaminated. We'll go ahead and set this one aside. Once your jars get contaminated, it's going to be really hard to come back from this. Just consider your jars pretty much doomed. Anyways, moving on here. Why do we want to shake them? It's to redistribute the mycelium inoculation points throughout the jar. What this is going to do is speed up the colonization process. That way your mycelium gets all over the jars and it has a chance to spread even faster. So first thing you want to do is tighten up the jar lids. You don't want anything to accidentally open up as you're shaking it here. You want to go ahead and use your palm. You want to smack the jar against your palm. Why you want to use your palm? You want to absorb the impact from the jar. It's going to minimize any damage and potentially breaking your jars. Give it a good smack a few times. It's also good to use both hands to shake the grains around to get everything all mixed up. With the jar lid fully closed, don't be afraid to shake vigorously. Sometimes the grains can be a little stubborn to break apart, so with enough shaking you'll be able to get everything mixed up thoroughly. Once you have your grains thoroughly mixed up, you can go ahead and loosen up your jar lids again. You want to make sure that they have enough gas exchange to continue colonization. Alright, the second method here is going to be hitting your jar against a semi-hard surface. You still want to be able to absorb the shock to the jars while they're being able to exert enough force to break the grains apart. Here I'm using a carpet on my floor. If you don't have carpet and you're one of those people with the fancy hardwood floors, you can go ahead and lay down a few layers of towels to cushion the impact of your jars. They work just as well. I've heard from other people that you could use a rubber tire. Duct tape works as well. I've heard people use tennis balls. Whatever you end up using, you just want to be able to absorb the impact from shaking the jars. Don't smack it against something hard and break your jars and cut yourself. That's the last thing you want to do. And again, after you shake up your grain jars, you want to put them back into colonization. If you use unmodified lids like me, you want to loosen up the lids again to promote gas exchange. If you're using modified lids, well, you can just keep the jar in its closed position at all times. Go ahead and put our jars away to continue the colonization process. Once we reach 100% colonization, we can go ahead and spawn the jars out to bulk, which I'll go over in my next class. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below the video. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next class. Peace out.